Welcome to yet another episode of the Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories, a series of conversations with CXOs and business leaders over chai or coffee, if that's your preference, brought to you by ET Edge. The urgency and pressure on business leaders as they navigate the COVID-19 pandemic has been immense. These business leaders have been constantly monitoring myriad ways to ensure that their respective companies stay on course in the new normal. The incredible demands placed on them makes us often wonder how they have time for family, hobbies, or any downtime at a personal level. And let's not forget that they are mere mortals. This initiative by ET Edge is aimed to create a deeper connection with them and to get a sense of what business leaders of several prominent companies do when they are not in business mode. Today, it's my pleasure to host Dhaval Pandya, Corporate Chief Information Officer, Piramal Enterprises Limited. Dhaval, welcome to the Economic Times Cutting Chai Stories.
Thanks a lot, Ivan. The pleasure is all mine.
My pleasure too. Dhaval, pandemic or no pandemic, leaders such as you are often asked as to how they are taking care of their teams, nurturing them, helping them grow, etc., etc. Very seldom are leaders asked as to how they are taking care of themselves. And that's my question to you first up. How have you managed over the past 18 months or so?
So the past 18 months have been very different. It's once in a human race kind of an event that has happened. And call it fortunate or unfortunate, we are at the center of it to have witnessed it. And it has changed many things that we had been conventionally doing in the so-called conventional manners. So
Right.
I see, is that a photo of you in the background? Because you look very changed too. So
that's my marriage photo. 13 years back, Dhaval, 13 years back, yeah.
Yeah, so the initial period was very stressful, Ivan, I would say, because a lot of organizations were not fully prepared for the same. And they had to fall over their feet to get things going. For example, work from home. Not the entire population has, for example, a laptop. It was always assumed that people will attend office and they'll discharge their responsibilities from the office. So it was a lot of stress, so to say, to get things right very soon, and that too within a constrained environment. So and because you're not physically sitting across the person that you're speaking to, and while we were using virtual to a good extent, but using it as a primary mode of interaction was something that
Right.
was not anticipated. So I think more than anything, the loss of personal touch or the physical presence was something that started pricking over a period of time. The boredom started setting in working from home, because then there is no working hours. You can't be saying that you're on the road, you're on the way, you're out somewhere, you're locked inside your houses, and really there were extended early starts, and there were extended late finishes to the day. So in
Sure.
that sense, I think it became stressful to begin with. Eventually we got to terms with it, where remote workforce productivity was something that came into picture, and remote employee engagement that came into picture to take care of people who are not physically sitting across.
Mhm. Yeah, tough times, yeah. That leads me to the next question. It is often said that creative thinking is the lifeblood of any organization. So, Dhaval, how do you encourage creativity within your organization to keep the new ideas coming? And if you could even touch upon these 18 months, the challenge, given the fact that people are remote, your teams are remote, how do you encourage that?
So it's become more formal now, Ivan, is what I would say, because earlier it used to be a little informal because you were in the same circles and in the same physical proximity. But I
True.
think the thing around lateral thinking or creative thinking or idea generation. So for once, what we started doing is that we broke the initial construct of getting too many people on the same call or on the same room, and say try to break it down within having sharper pockets of people with a good mix. So for example, you would have somebody who's senior, somebody who has seen the organization grow, somebody who's heading the function, somebody who's been in the company for about 5 years, and then you would have certain GETs or management trainees and stuff who have completely unconstrained thinking. So and then you try to deal with the business problem with the so-called squads. So we've been encouraging the agile way of working, which essentially means that you're deploying squads and you're having a good mix of people with varied technical and functional as well as business backgrounds, and then see as to what how can we basically break the constraints of the problem being discussed. That's where you get certain wacky ideas. We have been grappling with the things like design thinking on and off, but that's more pointed to certain initiatives where there is an identified case for improvement. But if you talk about, say, the blue sky or the blue ocean thinking, as they call it, we're trying to do certain forums. For example, we're trying to do certain town halls. We're trying to do certain connects. We are trying to do certain, while not a cutting chai, but certain offline connects, like lunch with leadership and things like those, where we talk about completely unrelated stuff and then try to see how we can land it to a particular case or a problem that we are grappling with to discuss.
Very interesting. I like the way you're answering these questions. I can see that there's very little management jargon here. It is the practical stuff, and I'm sure our viewers, even in the first two questions, are going to have some very important takeaways from your answers. Thank you. Okay, let's come to a catchphrase, and I've heard it quite often. I'd like your views on that. It is often said, again, people say this: your network is your net worth. I'd like your views on this, or do you think it's just another marketing slogan, another buzzword? What are your views on this?
So, Ivan, if you ask the same question to three different individuals or the same individual at different points in their careers, I'm sure you will get very, very different answers. So if you ask somebody who's a novice, maybe 2-3 years in the job, he's not focusing too much on network at that point in time. You talk about somebody who's at the mid management level and the senior management level. I think the amount of value that network adds to you as an individual will exponentially increase as you traverse through the career graph, right? So at this point in time, if you ask me, I think it's of immense value. It is time very well spent, I would say, because we have different forums, right? We have CIO forums, we have pharma CIO forums, and I'm a part of multiple communities. We even have certain communities where we help with pro bono, right? So so for example, trying to get together and see how we can educate the underprivileged or how we can prepare them for better jobs. This is the non-work side of thing, and then there are work-related forums where because my boss used to tell me, that if you're facing a problem, someone somewhere has already solved it. Always remember that. And it's always about trying to reach out to people, and there are enough and more people willing to offer that help, surprisingly. It's only about asking for help. So that's where I think, for example, when we were doing this entire work from home kind of thing, I had to reach out to multiple colleagues just to understand who are in identical situations as to how are they dealing with the problem. So what that does is that it reduces the learning curve significantly. Why reinvent or why invent or why invest in efforts where somebody's already did the learning, and they're all very happy to share. So the very fact that we are sitting across virtually here is again an output of networking, I would say, right? Because otherwise an Ivan wouldn't know Dhaval, Dhaval wouldn't know an Ivan. It's purely through the medium and the media that we are connected to in common. So I think it's of paramount importance. However, I would say it's better regulated and you don't overdo it, because then it becomes an exercise of trying to just expand your circle rather than trying to be in the right circle. So that's my take on it.
Very well put. It completely resonates with me. And somewhere I think we're on the same page, Dhaval, because at 52, my wisdom and a little bit of self-realization matches exactly with what you said on network versus net worth. Okay, just to go back in time, let's see, Dhaval, do you remember receiving your first salary? And if yes, how did you spend the money you received from that very first job, first salary?
Oh yes, I do remember it very well, and an amount is not something that I can be too proud of.
No, but tell us, Dhaval, I'll tell you, those were princely sums. Those were princely sums at that time.
Absolutely. So you're right. The value of rupee was far more than. While I am not exactly a relic, but yeah, it's about 15-16 years back in life that we are going. And I can't explain the feeling to while I didn't receive a physical check at that point in time. it was a credit that happened to my account, bank account. And I can tell you, my parents were more overjoyed than me when that happened.
So sweet, so
right.
sweet.
And my father finally thought that, that this is where the son takes over the reins, he's becoming responsible. My mother was absolutely overjoyed. And I spent a better part of my salary in purchasing something called as a Nokia 3310. Because that,
the hard, solid one.
Absolutely.
3310, wasn't it?
No, I got the 3310. So I came in a little later, actually.
Okay.
And I can tell you that phone still retains 97% battery whenever I charge it. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so I absolutely, and those were the days when actually outgoing was somewhere around, I think, 5 rupees per minute, and incoming was about 2.5 rupees per minute. You actually used to get charged for an incoming call at that point in time.
Correct.
And SMS was about 2 rupees odd. But people used to go for those prepaid recharges of about 300 rupees, which will again give you a talk time of about 270, 280, because there used to be a tax deduction from that as well. But exciting times, and if I look back, God has been kind. Parents have their blessings, and well-wishers like you have been holding fort. So I would say it's been a long way. We've come a long way from that point in time.
How much time has got crunched, Dhaval, within those 20, 30 years that we've spent, right? I still remember having that phone. I kept it for many years after that. And then I think I got rid of it. But, I used to wear it in the pocket and actually remove it out in front of people while talking to show them the model.
Yeah. It was
a matter of great pride.
Yeah, it was a matter of pride. It was a fashion statement, actually.
Yes, absolutely. What
and
memories?
I still have my first handset, Ivan, actually.
I should have retained it. Yeah, now I'm really, I should have retained it. Oh, wow, what memories. You're evoking more memories in me than my questions are evoking in you.
Be my guest. We can turn tables if you'd like.
Absolutely. That's why it's more a cutting chai conversation. So I like the way this is going. Okay, let's move on to the next question. I think you addressed this before in some way, that at various stages in life, there is a certain amount of learning, and hopefully we evolve. We have something called a moral compass, and that I think also evolves over time. Everyone does, good, bad, ugly, whatever that is. When it comes to you, say at this point in time, what's the moral compass that you have which guides you in your professional and personal space? And can you kindly share that with us?
Sure. So at the expense of sounding too idealistic and, an absolutely perfect human, I would humbly like to share my points on this. So my mother has been my guru in life, right? And she's always told me two things, and I've tried my best to live up to those two things. While I'm not perfect, and each of one has flaws, and I wouldn't like to take any claim for being perfect here. She said two things: that no matter what you do, don't end up in a situation where you have to look over your shoulder. Number one, to see that, okay, is someone watching you or someone not watching you? Ask yourself that question, whether it's worth it. That entire more than the position, the entire community that you have built. How would their opinion about you change if somewhere something were to happen? Is it really worth putting it at stake? And the second thing, which actually my father says still, is that you should be able to sleep peacefully at night, right? You shouldn't have a sleepless night, or you shouldn't be waking up in the middle of the night, with a chill down your spine to think about what is going to happen tomorrow. So, by virtue of what you did possibly yesterday. So I try to keep things in that perspective, and I like to believe, and I hear a lot, that I'm a very, very objective person. I pride in calling a spade a spade. I pride in sometimes even being the bad boy in the room if it gets to it. But yes, I hold my values and my morals extremely close to my heart, and I wear them on my sleeve, because I think that is something that no money can buy. It only takes a very, very very sadly thought decision that can just wipe away the entire reputation that you have built, possibly over the period of 20 years of your career. And we do come across instances, right, in the professional life as well, where
Yes.
people you last expect would do something of that sort, and sadly it turns out that way. So by no means I'm trying to compare myself to that circle, but yes, I try to keep things simple, um, and try to sleep peacefully at night. I want to have a good 8 hour sleep, and where, where I can completely unwind, come fresh the next day. And I
Yes.
want to walk into a room with my head held high, and without having to steal eyes from anybody. That's how I want to be.
Going back to the basics, I loved it. I mean, what your mother said was, either your parents, your relatives, or the community that has been around you is the best mirror before you take a call. And if it doesn't go well with them, then probably refrain from that. I think that's fantastic advice, because sometimes,
and the worst part, Ivan, is that these things extend beyond you actually, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So
Yes.
they impact people who are nowhere connected to that incident possibly, and then you wouldn't want to be a shame in the house. So that's how we look at it actually.
True. Wonderful. I'm really enjoying this. And so with that, and I'll come back to a couple of questions that I want to ask you. What we'll move, Dhaval, with your permission, is to a segment called the one word, one line answer. I will ask you a few questions, and kindly answer in a word or a line. No justification required. If it takes 3 words, I will mention, Dhaval, 3 words. So can we go for it?
Sure.
Okay. Your favorite holiday destination in India and favorite holiday destination internationally?
India would be Dharamshala, and internationally would be, I would pick a country, or you want me to get specific about
the specifics?
So it would be Queenstown in New Zealand.
Wow. Okay. Favorite subject in school?
Maths. That's easy.
Okay. Most disliked subject in school?
Geography.
Okay. Oh God. I've got to pause here, because my son, who's 11, in the 7th grade, his most disliked subject is geography. And we found the reason why, because the teacher is at sea completely when it comes to geography,
Okay.
Explaining. Yeah. So I don't know whether it's the subject per se, or whether it's the teacher that is not equipped to do that. And I was reflecting on my life. Some of the, like, maths was my favorite subject, but at the end of the day, some of the subjects that I didn't like, when you look back and you have the benefit of hindsight, you see the teacher was just not equipped to do it, because some of the most boring subjects were made very exciting by our teachers. Okay. 3 apps you use the most?
Swiggy, Google Maps, and Google Pay.
Okay. Are your friends completely opposite to you, or are most of them similar to you?
No, I would be the black sheep in the pack.
Okay. So that means they're all opposite to you.
Yeah.
I got it from the way you said it. And that's what I got from the first 2 questions, is that you call it as you see it. And probably that doesn't go down well with some of them, but that's the way you are.
Precisely.
Yeah. What is the cutest thing, Dhaval, you did as a child which your parents or your family members still talk about, if you can think of something?
Yeah. So when I was very small, and I'm told this, obviously, I wouldn't have memories to recollect this, but I possibly somewhere around when I was a toddler, maybe about a year and a half, 2 years, just walking around, getting to terms with things. I used to be very scared of crackers.
Okay.
So when the crackers used to burst, I used to find a corner in the house and just bury myself there. And my mama, my masi, my mom, and everybody would keep consoling, and my grandmother actually, they would keep consoling me, saying that, and we are a Guju family, right? So we have
Right.
our own way and dialect of saying things. So they taught me a statement which says that फटाकड़ा फूटता हो तो भले ने फूटे अपना बापा नु सू जाए, just to de-stress me and stuff. And being the toddler that I was, I used to say the same thing with the lisp actually. So it used to come out extremely funny, and that is something that my Masi, my granny, has obviously passed away now, and I hope she's in a very good place. But my mama, my Masi, they whenever we get around, there is at least one mention of this particular incident, and thanks to them actually, and my parents, I have had a very very cherishable childhood, and I'm thankful to God for that.
Wonderful, wonderful. That's very sweet. Okay. Choose one of these options, hard work or smart work.
I don't think it's an option anymore, Ivan, right? If I were to go the obvious way, it has to
I know
be
you're saying
smart
smart work.
Yeah. So it starts with hard work, and that's when, with time it becomes smart work. I don't think there is a turnkey solution to smart work, actually.
Sure. Yeah. It's just to make it a little tough and make you choose one of the two. That's the only objective here. Chai and biscuit or coffee and muffin?
Only coffee.
Okay. Dhokla or sev puri?
Sev puri.
Interesting. Party nights or a quiet dinner?
Quiet dinner.
Bungee jumping or scuba diving?
Both.
You see where this is coming from? No. I'm putting you in the spot now.
There's
a reason why I got this.
I'll actually done both, but I can.
I know.
I'll go the bungee jumping way, purely because there is no element of control there.
Right.
With scuba diving, you still have the oxygen cylinders and you have a guide with you. But with bungee jumping, the moment you're off the ledge, you're on your own. So I would go bungee jumping.
Dhaval, I've done some research on you, so that's why I bumped this in to put you into the spot. I know these are your passions. So that's why I wanted to put you in a corner and choose one of the two, even though you love both. Okay, here's an interesting one. Do you like dancing or do you like making others dance?
It's making other dance. If you told me if my life depended on dancing, I still wouldn't be able to save my life. So
okay,
I would go, make others dance.
Okay, comfortable silences or incredible conversations?
I would go with comfortable silences.
Nice. Fictional stories or true stories?
True stories.
Be lost on a mountain or lost on an island?
Lost on a mountain.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Lost on a mountain.
Mountain, okay. If you were to be stuck in a room for 24 hours, whom would you choose to be stuck with? Dhaval, I'll give you three options. Kindly choose one. Al Pacino, Neeraj Chopra, or Elon Musk?
Elon Musk.
Okay. If you could be a kitchen appliance, what kitchen appliance would you be and why?
I would say I most relate to the knife.
Okay.
Because I like to cut through the clutter and I like to, take the hard calls.
Okay.
I don't mind doing that.
Sure. If you could live in anyone's head for 15 minutes.
Anyone?
Whom would you?
I beg your pardon?
Anyone's head. If you could live in anyone's head for 15 minutes, whom would you choose? Anybody in this?
Our Honorable Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji.
Nice. I think I know the answer to this. I think you've already asked it, but let me ask you, because I've prepared that for you. Do you question things even if it will bother someone, or do you try not to rock the boat?
No, I like to rock the boat, actually.
There's more fun that way, no? Otherwise, yeah. Okay, if there is one place where you could spend the rest of your life, which place would that be?
Queenstown in New Zealand.
You have a deep affinity to that place, huh?
Yep.
Very interesting. Last question in this segment. Kindly fill in the blanks or complete the sentence. Life is incomplete without dash.
Parents.
Nice. You did very well, Dhaval. I do not have a hamper to offer you, but we will catch up for a cutting chai.
I knew I would win, so I'm sitting with one.
Okay, wonderful. Last question before I let you go. What's the best professional advice you've ever received, and who gave it to you?
So it was one of my ex-bosses. Without his concurrence, I wouldn't like to name him here. But he told me that always remember one thing: you cannot please everybody all the time. So try to work within those constructs, because if you're trying to make everyone happy, you're somewhere making yourself unhappy, and possibly you're not performing to your potential, be it professionally or personally. So it's always true. It's always good to speak your mind, debate and reason for all you know, and then either be convinced or convince the other guy, right? So I think and that has played a pivotal role in my entire career and life, because I think it's somewhere a fact, right, Ivan? Because
Yes.
human beings by nature, you wouldn't find two exactly similar thinking people. No matter how small the difference, there is always a difference.
Yes.
Views can be divergent, and we have to respect that. But then somewhere I think it's about the larger objective that you have to think through, and do what's in favor of the larger objective. So that's something that I try to abide by.
Friends, that was Dhaval Pandya, Corporate Chief Information Officer, Piramal Enterprises Limited, engaging in a cutting chai conversation with me. Dhaval, it's been an absolute privilege. The last 20 or 25 minutes have been fantastic. I think you touched upon so many aspects of life, of leadership, and I think our audience has some very solid takeaways. A lot of stuff personally resonated with me. Thank you for your time, and I wish you, your family, and your organization the very best going forward.
Thanks a lot, Ivan. I really appreciate you taking the time out for the conversation. And it was, like I said, 30 minutes well spent. It was an extremely engaging and a very good conversation to have, something not you do on a very regular basis. So I would say it was a very welcome break, and I truly appreciate the way you conducted it. The pleasure was all mine, and I look forward to such conversations with you.
Thank you, Dhaval. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Ivan.